Here is key point discussed in podcast longevity debate: shocking weight loss truth. They've been hiding this for years. And it need were. You know, one of the things that really stood out to me in this conversation is how much of a mystery women's health, bodies, and anatomy have been for so long. Dr. Stacy Sims points out that we need to look at things through a female lens, understanding how hormones affect adaptations and how women respond to environmental cues differently than men. It's not just about slapping a generic workout plan on someone and expecting it to work. Dr. Natalie Crawford highlights how hormones control a lot of our environment and cells, and it's a two-way street. Hormones influence what's happening in our gut, but our gut also influences our hormones. This is especially important for women who have different predominant hormones at different times. Now, let's talk about exercising across the menstrual cycle. Dr. Stacy Sims explains that while some women feel great around ovulation, others might feel awful. It's all about listening to your body and tailoring your workout to how you feel. But here's the thing: there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Dr. Natalie Crawford emphasizes the importance of building muscle and consistency, but also allowing yourself to listen to your body and adjust your workout accordingly. It's not about waiting for a specific directive, but rather being okay with doing something different each day. When it comes to high-intensity interval training, Dr. Stacy Sims advises against doing it every day. We need to create a stress that our body responds to, and that means allowing for recovery time. It's all about periodization, varying your workout to avoid plateaus and prevent overtraining. It's a complement to true strength training, which involves lifting heavy loads in multiple planes. Then, focus on compound movements like squats, adding load and progressing gradually. And here's the best part: it's never too late to start. Even if you're 50, you can still regain your range of motion and build strength. It's all about creating a positive, repetitive force that invokes change in your tissues. Just remember, you can't start where you left off 20 years ago. It takes time, patience, and progression. So, let's dive into what's really holding women back from exercising, specifically when it comes to strength training. It's not just about lack of motivation or time, it's deeply rooted in societal expectations. When a woman walks into a typical gym, she's often directed towards cardio classes, not the weightlifting section. This assumption stems from the idea that women are there to lose weight, not to build strength or muscle. But here's the thing: muscle matters, especially for women, and it's not just about aesthetics. Muscle is a metabolic organ, crucial for glucose metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and even brain function. As women age, particularly after menopause, muscle loss accelerates, leading to increased risk of osteoporosis, frailty, and decreased quality of life. The good news is that building muscle, especially during what's called the critical decade 3,545 years old, can significantly mitigate these risks. This is because estrogen, present in higher levels during this period, has a profound effect on muscle protein synthesis and is a potent anti-inflammatory. Now let's talk about bone health. Both men and women build bone up to around age 25, then it plateaus. However, women experience a rapid decline in bone density after menopause due to the loss of estrogen, which plays a crucial role in bone health. This is why it's essential for women, especially those in their 30s, to focus on strength training and impact exercises like jumping to stimulate bone growth. In fact, a study showed that women with osteoporosis can safely lift heavy weights under supervision, not only without breaking, but also while building bone. The key takeaway here is that prevention is better than cure. Getting a baseline bone density scan early, ideally before age 65, can provide valuable insights into your bone health. It's worth noting that even younger women with low estrogen levels due to conditions like hypothalamic amenorrhea are at risk of serious bone density issues and should consider early intervention. When it comes to exercise, a balanced approach is crucial. While cardio, like running, has its benefits, doing it excessively at the expense of strength training can lead to imbalances, including a higher risk of menstrual cycle disruptions and decreased bone density. A more optimal approach might include 3 days of strength training, focusing on compound movements that target different muscle groups, and then peppering in low-intensity cardio or other activities on the other days. For those interested in improving cardiovascular performance, high-intensity interval training (HIIT) can be incredibly effective, even when done just once a week, as seen in protocols like the Norwegian 4x4. By understanding the importance of muscle and bone health, and by making informed choices about your exercise and nutrition, you can set yourself up for a healthier, stronger future. So, let's dive into the conversation around exercise and women's health. One of the key points that stood out to me is how our bodies respond to stress, particularly when it comes to exercise. You see, when we're under chronic stress, our bodies go into survival mode, and for women, this can lead to a range of issues, including hormonal imbalances and weight gain. However, the truth is, if you're not recovering properly, you might actually be doing more harm than good. Think about it like this: if you're constantly pushing yourself to the limit without giving your body time to recover, you're essentially creating a state of chronic stress. And for women, this can be particularly problematic, especially during perimenopause and menopause. That's why it's so important to focus on polarizing your exercise routine, meaning you're doing a mix of high-intensity workouts and low-intensity recovery days. Instead, you want to focus on building strength and incorporating high-intensity interval training HIIT into your routine. This type of exercise has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and even support brain health. And speaking of brain health, let's talk about the importance of lactate production. You see, when we do high-intensity exercise, our bodies produce lactate, which is then used by the brain as a source of fuel. By incorporating HIIT into your routine, you can actually support your brain health and reduce your risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. Whether you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, you can start incorporating these principles into your exercise routine and see real results. And remember, it's not just about the exercise itself, but also about recovery, nutrition, and stress management. By taking a holistic approach to your health, you can set yourself up for success and thrive at any age. And one more thing, when it comes to exercise, especially for women, it's not just about the physical benefits, but also about the mental and emotional ones. By finding an exercise routine that you enjoy and that makes you feel good, you can actually reduce your stress levels and improve your overall well-being. So, don't be afraid to experiment and find what works for you. Whether it's walking, running, swimming, or dancing, the most important thing is that you're moving your body and taking care of your health. And let's talk about the importance of community and social connection. As women, we often find ourselves taking on caregiving roles, whether it's for our children, our parents, or our partners. And while this can be incredibly rewarding, it can also be incredibly stressful. That's why it's so important to prioritize your own social connections and community. So, there you have it, folks. Remember, it's all about finding a balance that works for you and prioritizing your overall well-being. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode. You know, when it comes to losing weight, people often think they can out-exercise a bad diet, but the truth is, you can't. The composition of your diet matters immensely, and it's not just about cutting calories, but about the quality of the food you're putting in your body. Even elite athletes who burn a lot of calories can still have issues with their gut microbiome if they're eating high-sugar, high-carb foods. Now, when it comes to tools like GLP-1 medications, they can be revolutionary for certain people, especially those with conditions like PCOS who struggle with insulin resistance and weight loss. However, it's essential to approach these medications with oversight and guidance, ensuring you're not sacrificing your long-term health for short-term weight loss. The key takeaway here is that it's not just about the number on the scale, but about your overall health and body composition. So, what's the best approach? Well, it starts with a plant-forward, plant-heavy diet, focusing on whole foods, healthy fats, and proteins that support your gut microbiome. Aim for at least a gram of protein per ideal pound of body weight to support muscle growth and overall health. Now, about fasting, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. While men might be able to handle longer fasts, women's bodies respond differently, and prolonged fasting can lead to increased visceral fat storage, inflammation, and disrupted hormone systems. Instead, consider time-restricted eating, where you eat within a 12-hour window, following your natural circadian rhythm. This approach can help you work with your body's biology rather than against it, and support overall health and well-being. And let's not forget about the importance of fiber and protein at every meal, especially for women in perimenopause. This can help support your gut microbiome, hormone regulation, and overall health. So it's not just about cutting out certain foods or following a specific diet, but about creating a balanced, sustainable approach to nutrition that supports your body's unique needs. So, let's dive into the world of women's health and wellness. You know, when it comes to time-restricted eating, it's really beneficial for women, especially when they're not eating in the dark. It's all about fueling your body during the day when it needs it most. This helps create an environment that's supportive of hormone health, muscle growth, brain health, and reducing stress. But when you start phase shifting and holding fast, it can lead to metabolic dysfunction, poor sleep, and even lower longevity. Think about it. Shift workers have significantly lower longevity, living up to 14 years less. They're also at higher risk of infertility, pregnancy loss, and metabolic unhealthiness. It's not just about the work itself, but the constant flipping back and forth between day and night schedules. This can be really tough on the body, especially when it comes to sleep. If you can get off the night shift, it's a healthier life pattern. But if not, prioritizing sleep and self-care is crucial. Now, let's talk about fasting. You know, people often do longer fasts, thinking it's like cleaning out their system. But the truth is, it's not that simple. Autophagy, the process of recycling broken down cells, can be achieved through exercise, not just severe fasting. In fact, exercise invokes autophagy, and it's better for your overall health. Telomere changes, which indicate aging, can also be improved through exercise, not just fasting. When it comes to women's bodies, they're more complex and stress resilient. They're designed to protect themselves, especially when it comes to pregnancy. But this also means that women's bodies can be less flexible when it comes to things like fasting and exercise. If you're looking for longevity, you might consider things like vitamin D, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and creatine. But if you're trying to get pregnant, folic acid is essential for preventing neural tube defects. And if you're looking for overall health and wellness, a balanced diet with plenty of fiber and nutrients is key. Now, let's talk about environmental toxins. It's not just about avoiding all toxins, but making active decisions to live a less toxic life. Simple changes like getting rid of plastics in your kitchen, avoiding hot foods in containers, and choosing non-toxic products can make a big difference. And, yes, there is a link between environmental toxins and early menopause. So, it's essential to be mindful of your exposure and take steps to reduce it. Remember, it's all about making small changes that add up over time. Whether it's your diet, exercise, or environmental toxins, every little bit counts. So, take control of your health and wellness, and make informed decisions that support your body and mind. So, let's dive into some of the really impactful insights from this conversation. One thing that stood out to me is how our daily habits, especially when it comes to sleep, can have a profound impact on our overall health and well-being. Dr. Vonda Wright emphasized that sleep is the foundation of our health. And if we're not getting enough quality sleep, it's going to be tough to overcome that deficit with other healthy behavior. And it's not just about the quantity of sleep, but also the quality. Are you actually getting restorative sleep, or are you just passing out from exhaustion? Another key point that resonated with me is the importance of taking ownership of our own health, especially when it comes to women's health. Dr. Mary Claire Haver talked about how the medical system often fails to serve the needs of aging women, and how we need to be our own advocates, educating ourselves and pushing for the care we deserve. It's not about being small and demure, but about taking up space and demanding to be heard. And then there's the fascinating discussion around the impact of environmental toxins, like BPA, on our reproductive health. Dr. Stacy Sims shared some eye-opening research on how exposure to BPA can lower our ovarian reserve, leading to earlier menopause. But here's the thing, there are things we can do to mitigate this, like reducing our exposure to plastics and increasing our intake of soy products, which can actually help combat BPA. While melatonin can be a helpful tool, it's often misused. People are taking too high a dose, which can actually do more harm than good. Instead, it's about finding that delicate balance and using melatonin in a way that supports our natural circadian rhythms. Steven Bartlett emphasized that by focusing on prevention and taking care of ourselves early on, we can avoid some of the diseased outcomes that often come with aging. It's about taking control of our own health journey and making informed decisions from a place of education, rather than fear or misinformation.